Welcome to Win with Richardson and Richardson. What's important now? Success in business most often comes down to hard work, not by silver bullets and quick fixes. It's knowing where to focus that hard work that's key to winning. Join sales prospecting expert and 3-time seven-figure business founder Carrie Richardson and managing partner of R&R Consulting and former owner of Doberman Technologies, Ian Richardson, for radical honesty regarding strategic planning, accountability, and execution that will get you the systematic results you're working toward. Let's get into today's episode. Thought leader and your host, Carrie Richardson.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Carrie Richardson. I'm a partner at Fox & Crow, and today I'm your host of the Win podcast, What's Important Now? And today we're asking that question to Michelle Accardi, the CEO of LionGard. Thanks for joining us, Michelle. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. Thanks so much for having me on today.
I'm glad that you could make it. We interviewed the founder of LionGard, Joe Alapat, a few weeks ago, and we talked about the transition. Joe had some wonderful things to say about your leadership style and the transition, and I wanted to hear your side of the story. So welcome, and let's get started.
I had really big shoes to fill. Let me first say that. Joe is a phenomenal founder and visionary, and continues to be an incredible visionary here at LionGard. A lot of CEOs who are coming in are looking to move out a founder. When I came into LionGard, what I saw was, here's this incredible visionary, but he's not stepping into his 10x. Being able to have me work in the areas where I excel, we're going to take LionGard so much further, building on the initial vision. A lot of times people think that there's a recipe book that they have to follow when they're doing succession planning. I've found that's not the case. I really believe that you have to look at the skill sets of everyone that's in an organization and figure out, can you leverage those skill sets to make you go farther? People where their talents are best served. If you ask a fish to climb a tree, you're not going to get very far. That's really what I did. There were many talented people here, including Joe. Where can I unlock the value that they have? That's worked really well for us. I'm super lucky to have Joe as a partner in the business.
So talk to me about that concept of the 10x, but when you're talking about being in 10x, what does that mean to you at LionGard?
I like calling it being in your flow state, when the activities that you're doing are easy and fun, and you're able to bring the best of yourself, and ultimately that drives good outcomes. And those outcomes are 10x what they would be if you were not working in your 10x. Joe has been always an incredible product visionary. That's how he started the company. So putting him into that role and enabling him and taking the shackles off of all the other extraneous things enabled us to round the corner and come back to a founding principle of LionGard being a cybersecurity platform, which had gotten lost over the years. Now we are a full-fledged cybersecurity company with a cyber risk dashboard that shows folks their cyber posture tied to cyber insurance controls. And I don't know if we would have gotten there unless we could get folks back into that flow state.
What is Michelle's flow state?
I'm all about growth. I'm having the most fun when I'm out building the business, building the partner ecosystem, building good relationships at my board level, building new relationships with MSPs and enterprise. I love to go grow the business. That's what excites me. The things that don't excite me are dealing with operational challenges. I'm lucky I have great CFO, a great chief marketing officer, a great chief sales officer in the business to partner with. That makes my day so much easier and makes me so happy to be in the role that I am here at LionGard. We have 5 core values when I came into LionGard: listen and learn, our ability to adapt, execute as a team, focus on visible progress, teach and lead, and I added the next one, which was really all about sense of urgency. And there's this great listening and learning culture here. There's also a focus on providing that visible progress. What I didn't see was us prioritizing and leaning into a sense of urgency. We've recently added a chief sales officer, Jason Macias, and a CMO, Stephanie Weigel. They absolutely embody sense of urgency. I already had that with Joe and Vin and others on the team, showing that at the executive level so people can model it for the rest of the organization, then rewarding it when you see it happening. We do awards on a monthly basis for each of our core values, rewarding that behavior when we see it. One of the most challenging things to do is to add a new core value and to make sure that everyone is adopting it. We're still on that journey and path, and I think we'll always be. We're also a listen and learn and adapt type culture. So we'll continuously learn and show visible progress along the way.
Tell us a little bit about RoarCon. It's the first LionGard event, and it's coming up pretty fast.
It's about a sense of urgency, right? Ultimately, it's been a vision of the company to have this conference for a long time. Why aren't we doing it? We have the partners. We have this ecosystem of additional vendors who want to come in. So let's do it. It's a good example of sense of urgency where everyone rallied around that idea. We're super excited about it. It's July 23rd to the 25th, happening in Frisco, Texas. We're really excited about our keynote speaker, Eric O'Neill, who is a cybersecurity expert and was an FBI operative who ultimately uncovered the mole in the FBI, Robert Hansen, and helped put him away. We have great sponsors, folks like Pax8 and of other vendors who are coming in and giving us resources to help on a thought leadership track, as well as our technical track. That's really meant to educate all of our partners and prospects. It's going to be a really great event, and it's going to be a more intimate event. This is going to be a place where real networking can happen, real conversations about real business challenges. Folks may not know my background, but I led a very large roll-up MSP that was PE-backed, previous coming to LionGard. So it's going to be an opportunity to have real conversations about the challenges that growing MSPs have. How do we deal with these cybersecurity risks? How do we monetize and grow our businesses and focus on that profitability using a different lens than I think a lot of folks come at it from. A lot of people will come at it from, I have to cut my way to better EBITDA, but I have a different perspective. I think you can grow your way there. And I'm really excited because we've got of MSPs that are going to be joining us who are using a growth play versus just a cut play. Companies like Antiva, the Purple Guys, Ergos, just a tremendous amount of companies who are going to talk about what has worked for them, Meriplex. So I'm super excited just to hear their stories and to share some of the things I did well when I was in that role and some of the things I didn't do so well, so people can avoid those kinds of pitfalls.
It's really exciting for LionGard to have a CEO that understands intimately the challenges that MSPs face when trying to grow their business. You've got this unique perspective of having led a very large national MSP and then moving those skills over to a vendor, being able to say, no, that would not have been valuable to me. And this must be an incredible resource.
It is. My background has always been on the vendor side previous to having joined Logically, where I was CEO. And the experience that I got from being on the board there and then being CEO there, I could not replace with 1,000 marketing consultants. Ultimately, sitting in the hot seat, feeling the challenges of cybersecurity risk, feeling the challenges of how to improve EBITDA, feeling the challenges of how do you deal with workforce that is coming together because there's a lot of acquisition and integration. Also doing that on the heels of a global pandemic I just got such a great perspective of what it's like to try to grow a business. And so I try to bring that to my team. We've got a lot of folks on the LionGard team who come from MSP backgrounds. It's one of the things I think we've done uniquely well is to grab people who have specific skill sets and have that experience as being an MSP to make sure that we're building content that serves the market that we're going through, which I think is different than a lot of other vendors who may think that they understand the personas in the MSP, whereas our team lived the MSP. There's so much convergence in all industries happening. In the MSP industry, you have MSSP and MSP coming together and some levels of convergence there. You have technology service brokers coming together and selling cybersecurity into what used to be old telecom bases. I feel very blessed to have had the experience that I've had in of these different channels in my 28-year career, and then to be working with some of the very best who also had experience running MSPs and other technology channels. One of the things that I'm proud of having brought to LionGard, we want to sell to partners the way they want to buy, whether that's in an annual contract, whether that's in a month-to-month contract, whether they want to focus only on the cloud or they want our complete solution. We have flavors for everyone and enabling that flexibility because different MSPs may do things in different ways and we want to help them grow. And then also using the experience that I had and that Joe had and building out monetization kits to help Ps not just treat cybersecurity like something that they can't monetize, because it can be monetized. Making money is not a dirty word, which is one of the other things that I find in the MSP community. People feel bad about asking their customers for a price increase. We have to teach MSPs how much value they provide and give them the tool set that enables them to continue to grow. I'm really passionate about that. I'm happy that we've got some really great LionGard partners who are doing it today, and for them to tell that story at RoarCon around how they're growing their business.
Yeah, there is a great platform available out there called MSP CFO. And I have seen clients roll that out and discover that they were actually paying to be the IT support for some of their legacy clients.
It's fear. So it's one of the things is I find so many MSPs are driving on a mindset of fear instead of an abundance mindset. There is an ability for you to go after more if you change your mindset. And I know that sounds very simple, but it's actually really hard to do. How do I teach people to have that abundance mindset? I have to have an abundance mindset. I have 6 children that come from, I'll say, different backgrounds, 3 stepchildren and 3 adopted children. So much of my focus for them has always been about how do I get them to see the world in a positive light versus a fearful light of what might be taken away from me. And I can say I have 3 of them successfully out of high school, 1 out of pharmacy school, 1 working in public health. Is all been about perspective. And it's the same thing I try to bring to my work life, is that if you bring a perspective that there's an abundance of opportunity and there's abundance, you're going to teach your customers how to grow and enable them to grow based on the IT support and the cybersecurity capabilities that you're giving them that keep the risk off of them. You're giving them abundance.
If you can manage 6 kids, you can lead a business. 100%. You're not going to get an argument from me.
Some days are easier than others. I always have to keep that positive frame of mind, because if not, things can cripple you along the way. For MSPs, they're going to hit challenges, but they've got to feel the fear and do it anyways, in terms of making sure they're monetizing their tech stack, making sure that they're making some tough calls around how they staff. I'm a big proponent of looking at alternative staffing models, looking at how AI augments, where offshore makes sense. These are difficult things for someone who may be running a mid-sized business to think about, hey, I've got to change my business model so that I can reach the success targets I want. But leaning into those things, leaning into how do you best empower your teams to lean into their own 10x and figure out where are the things that you don't need to lean into that aren't the urgent and important, and getting those off your plate and your team's plate. That's a big part of just driving to have a successful outcome as an MSP.
Oh, I agree with you on that one. There are companies that just lean in and figure it out. Everybody has the same resources and amount of time available to them. So what do you think the defining factor is?
There's always access to resources and such, but I do believe it's mindset. I think if you want to find a way, you can find the way. You're going to have to do hard things. And I think that's a challenge. Sometimes, unfortunately, you've got to look at your team and say, is this the right team that's going to get me to the next level? Having those open, honest, and transparent conversations about where people's 10x is, and their 10x may be with the organization or it may be outside of an organization, and that's okay. One of the hardest things for MSP leaders who start these things thinking, hey, I'm a tech who was really successful in helping my customers. But if you want to grow, you've got to get all the right people around you. And if you've got the right mindset and you articulate, this is the goal that we have for the company. If your goal is, hey, this is a lifestyle business and we're not going to grow that much, that's fine. Understand that's then where you're going to stay. If you want to be a high growth business, then it takes a different level of work and sense of urgency and focus.
What are your best tips for maximizing value when you're attending a trade show, LionGard or otherwise?
Make relationships while you're at these events. There's great information that will be shared in every session, but build personal relationships, talk to someone new, ask people how they're solving problems that you're dealing with. Don't be afraid to be vulnerable. I've built my entire career, frankly, out of building networks of people who are much smarter than me, who've solved problems, and don't be afraid to just go out there, be vulnerable, ask questions, and listen. Listening and learning, sharing your own experience, that's how you get the most out of these events.
That is something that I have seen in the MSP community. People are very giving of their time and their talents. And if you recognize early on that people aren't there to you can always steal an idea, but you can't steal execution of an idea. Sharing with people what you're doing doesn't really damage your plans. It might help them with theirs, but what are the odds that they're going to execute on that plan the identical way that you are? It's next to zero.
Yeah, exactly. I always say, again, it's this abundance mindset. If you're worried that someone's going to steal everything, then you're not in abundance mind. If you're more able to be open and transparent, you may learn that other people have solved problems that you're dealing with and that can help you execute much more quickly in the future.
So we say if your stuff isn't worth the stealing, you probably shouldn't be publishing it.
That's the truth.
Michelle, thank you so much for joining us. Ian is very much looking forward to participating there. I wish you very much success in your first event and, of course, wild success as the leader of LionGard. And thanks for joining us on Win.
You've been listening to Win with Richardson and Richardson. What's important now? We're so glad you've joined us and know you're one step closer to winning big in your business too. We'd love to connect with you outside of the show. If you have any questions or comments, please reach out to connect@rnr.consulting. Don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe to the podcast so you'll easily know when new episodes are available. Until next time, you can win, and we're here to help.